think it's time to talk about Valhall, a game that I made a video about some years ago now, and it's been in development ever since. It has some pretty impressive things that they've got going on at the moment, and they've actually got a beta version that's out at the moment. But is it any good? Is it really worth getting at this point? And what can we expect from the future? Welcome to Valhall Harbinger, a beautiful Viking open world. Now, full disclosure, Black Rose Arts, who are the developers, sent me a key for the game in its current stage, but you can be sure that's not going to change what I say about it, because I have actually gone on and I have actually played what is there to offer. Unfortunately, it's not so much at the moment. But let's talk about the game itself and what it's really about. Well, Valhall is a Viking universe and slasher with directional physical melee combat. Fight brutal battles, get out of Loki's trap, feel Thor's power, and witness the beginning of the end for the world. Ragnarok is coming. Now, one of the biggest selling points of this game is its variety. At the start, when it was initially just called Valhall, it was coming at the time where battle royales were the biggest thing out at the moment. This was back in 2017, 2018, and that's what it was sort of advertising itself as. However, it looks like through development through the years that Black Rose Arts have decided that that's probably not the sole direction they want to go. Battle royales aren't as big as they once were, and they want to start expanding into other types of game modes. So this new version of Valhall doesn't just have battle royales. We have whole new survival, a test where you can of course try your luck wielding Mjolnir. There's Loki's maze deathmatch, and of course some team deathmatch and deathmatch modes. So the only thing in the game at the moment in this pre-beta sort of stage is properly Loki's maze deathmatch. This is an arena surrounded by a dynamic labyrinth that changes every single match. You can earn glory and save its points by activating the rune stones that will randomly appear in the maze, and you can complete the challenge. I have to say, the design on this map looks beautiful. The graphics in general are so detailed. It is a very good looking game, especially in the rain. Sometimes it does get a little bit distracting with all the raindrops on the screen, but it is damn sure immersive. Currently, there are no players in the game at the moment, as you might expect, so as you can see, the gameplay in the background is fighting against bots. It is a very deathmatch style game where you're just going all out and trying to get as many kills as possible. As mentioned, there is a whole different maze to this map as well, going in and searching all the corners for these runes that you can see from the blue beams in the sky. You've got to collect them and gain points in that way. Unfortunately, as I said, there were no players, so it was just the bots fighting each other, but at least I got a little bit of experience with the combat and everything that we can see there. Talking about the combat, it's pretty good. It's very much directional combat as you would experience in games like Mount and Blade or Mordhau, but they have stated that they don't want to go that same path that those games did. They have a good combat system, and I think it flows pretty well. Of course, it's hard to get a good flowing duel with a bot. However, I think that the possibilities are there. It feels very fluid and it feels very satisfying, especially the bow. I did feel a little bit overpowered with the bow since this deathmatch gave you unlimited arrows and you could just ping them off at all the bots that would charge at you without any shields. However, I think that'll be a very different experience with actual players that you're going up against. But that's the combat and that's the maze deathmatch that we can play at the moment. Another part of the game that I can sort of test out and show you guys is wielding Mjolnir. Of course, Mjolnir is Thor's hammer, and there's a game mode where you can pick that up. You can test it out against some bots. You're able to smash them with some heavy swings, but of course you can also throw your hammer and then call it back. You can also call in some lightning strikes, but I didn't find that to be the most effective. However, by some of the gameplay that we've seen in the trailers, it does look pretty badass. Now, one thing I'd add to say with Mjolnir is very strange weapon to get the hang of. It's completely different to any of the other weapons and swords that you'll experience in the game, and it makes sense. However, actually just hitting people with it at a close range is kind of useless because the reach on it is so short that all the bots you go up against here have long axes, meaning that they can just hit you while you can't get anything on them. I found a lot of issues came when I was trying to just hit the bots with a normal Mjolnir swing, so most of the time I was just throwing it, but it is very satisfying and very fun to throw your hammer. However, the last thing that you can get at the moment in the pre-beta is looking at the weapon customization and all the things there, but there's not really much to it at the moment. It's mostly just an axe and a sword, and that's about it. But later on, hopefully there will be modular parts such as changing the blades, the guards, the hilts, and the pommels. But this is where the issues start to come in. You see, the beta at the moment is £17 and it's on sale, so by the time you're watching this, it's probably about £23, which is the original price. At that price point at the moment, you kind of have to buy it and go into it expecting that they're going to continue to develop this game and add all the things that they promised in, such as the survival mode and the battle royale, because currently they're not in the game at the moment. So at its original retail price, that's about £23, that is closing in on $28, $29, I would say it's not all that worth getting right now. However, if you've done your research and you think the developers are going to start bringing in these other bits and pieces and you think it's going to be worth it in the long run, then you can do that if you really want to support them, but I don't think it's worth buying into at this point, just because of the complete lack of content. However, talking about lack of content, what can we expect from the future of this game? And if you do buy into it at this point, what are you hoping to get later on? Well, first off, let's talk about the battle royale. Battle royale, of course, we all know and love what that is, and that was the first trailer that they brought out, and it looked brilliant, especially the closing in of the boundaries. Ragnarok is happening. The world is ending for this Viking and North mythological era. But it won't just be PvP combat. With 4 different biomes, you can be hunted or hunt different and various creatures throughout. But there is a central arena where you can possess Mjolnir, and of course you'll become very powerful at that point. It adds a few new elements to the battle royale that we know and love today. However, I think it's really going to be focusing on that Viking combat, and it's adding a few survival elements as well, which is nice to see, but I don't know how necessary it is in a game like this. But talking of survival elements, this is where I think the meat and potatoes of this game is going to be in the near future when they finally release it, and I think if they do this well, it's definitely going to be worth the money that you'll be paying for it. This survival element is a very much a Rust inspired look into raiding, harvesting materials, creating tools and weapons, hunting animals, farming and trading with each other. You can also form alliances and make groups. You can make your own little villages and put up walls, making small cities even. Then you can fight against other clans and fight against other Vikings in Midgard, and it looks beautiful. I can't wait to see all the possibilities in this, but I think it's going to be your typical survival base building, going raiding, but of course still hunting in order to gain food in order to keep you going. Then going off and finding valuable resources that you can trade with each other and grow your renown throughout this world. However, one of the main things that I'm worried about this game is currently not many people are playing it, as I mentioned, but I think that's completely down to the fact that there isn't a battle royale, there isn't a survival mode in it, and hopefully when they are released, we're going to get many more players into the game to start filling up those servers, which of course is what you need for a survival game like this. I think overall the game looks really interesting. It's one of these games that has more potential than has actual content in it right now. If you go and buy into the pre-beta, don't expect vast gameplay. Don't expect to be able to play it for more than an hour or so before you start repeating yourself in terms of content. I would say the only reason you would buy into it right now is to support the developers, and if you're really excited to what they've got going on, of course buying into it helps them develop that game and gives them a bit more funds in order to get these survival and battle royale modes out. But if you're not that bothered and you're buying into it just for content, I wouldn't say the game is worth looking at just yet. However, when things do come out, I would expect I will be making some videos and telling you guys about the new survival modes and the battle royale when it happens. But what do you guys think? Please leave your comments down below. Do you think this is a game that's worth getting in the end? Are you looking forward more to the survival mode or the battle royale? Leave your opinions down below and I'll be sure to check up on them and reply to as many as possible. But leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a dislike if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.